Excellent. So thank you very much for having us in this opportunity to provide you and to explain you or to show you one of our newest babies as a collaboration between NTT DATA and Embotech and Valeo. And since we developed a specific solution that we are promoting now and we are selling to our customers, we thought to start about a video that you see what we are doing exactly and to go into the discussion immediately. So maybe a short story that we can tell about this collaboration that we called VenAI, V for Valeo, and E for Embotech, and N for NTT Data. About in the summer 2020, we started to discuss with each other. And about 1 year later, 2021, we signed an MOU and that we can collaborate and want to provide this kind of solution. This basically is how to park the vehicle by using only infrastructure. So they put all the autonomy outside the vehicle and we're using it by the infrastructure. And you can explain it in a way like the eyes of the system, that is the perception, how we see the environment, that comes from Valeo. And the brain of the system, which is the motion planning, how to drive the vehicles exactly on the trajectory, comes from Embotech. And we as NTT Data, we are the nervous system. We're providing the connectivity, the 5G, the infrastructure, but also the integration of the complete IT system that have to be run 24/7 with high availabilities. So, and one of the best milestones that I'm very proud of, that we were able to win a customer program with one big OEM that we cannot disclose yet for this solution that is what we call VenAI solution. And since then, 2 months ago, we published this video also at the CES, and we went more or less from the stealth mode into hello world. We are doing business with the solution. So let me start first about talking with my partners, and nowadays more or less friends, Luc and Andreas. So the first question that they have is about our collaboration. So Valeo is a tier 1 supplier, and NTT Data is an IT company. So how does it fit at all in the collaboration?
Well, in the automotive industry, we have more and more to do with off-board functions, especially for functions that are not used all the time, like, for example, highway chauffeur and so on. This kind of functions, it makes sense to get them off-board, but also for mature on-board functions, especially for automated driving, we need more and more support from the infrastructure. Valeo is a well-known first-tier supplier, market leader in different domains as ADAS and automated parking. Nevertheless, to start with this kind of services and off-board functions, we need the partnership with a big IT company. An IT company that has experiences in the operations, that can make robust IT structures with diagnostic, everything prepared for the maintenance and monitoring. And like we already work also on other projects with NTT together, this was a good experience, and now we have the next opportunity for AVP.
Thank you, Luc. Thank you. So looking to Andreas and Embotech, so Embotech is a startup, right? Mm-hmm. And you are a speedboat working with 2 giant tankers. So how does it feel? What is the benefits?
Well, yeah, as a speedboat, you know, what do we have? We have some cutting-edge technology, right? But we also have flexibility and fast decision-making, which big companies do not have. But what we do not have is vast resources and lots of broad experience. So the VenAI partnership itself, what we've done is to combine the resources and the experience from 2 big companies, such as NTT Data and Valeo, in the IT and automotive industries, with the cutting-edge technology, the fast decision-making, and the flexibility of a startup.
Excellent. And business-wise, so we've seen in the video that there are 4 market segments that we think that would be relevant for our technology. If you can elaborate more about that.
Yeah, so we saw 4 market segments. First of all, it's car manufacturing, then going on to logistics centers, then rental cars, and then going into public parking. So it's clear that the car manufacturing will be the first use case. That is because the business case is already there. The OEMs are issuing RFQs. They're asking for these systems to implement them to save costs and also tackle the problem of unavailability of drivers in their factories. So it's clear they want to have it, and they want to have it now. So that comes first. Then we believe that the technology will proliferate down the delivery chain of vehicles, from logistics centers, then to rental cars, and then eventually to public parking or autonomous valet parking. So the strategy of VenAI is to first tackle the immediate business case, which is the factory grounds, the car plants, establish the technology through that, and then tackle the much bigger market, which is the automated valet parking.
And so I understand that there is these market segments will come maybe one after the other. So they will have different requirement on maybe safety, availability, on also the infrastructure. So we started at the beginning, for example, from the connectivity by using LTE, mobile technology. So there are some other connectivity part of it, like C, V2X, and so on, and the 5G, we were able to showcase it in Munich the first time by using 5G. So look, from your perspective, so these market segments, how they may evolve, how we can make money out of it in the mid and the long term.
Yeah, so we have to go step by step, and we have to start where, in fact, the cars are first available. And that's why we start with everything which is the manufacturing plant at the OEMs, followed by the logistic yards, because there we have immediately the critical mass on AVP-enabled cars. And the other thing is also that we have here a more simple system. Okay, we don't depend on legislation. We have not so many stakeholders. And the business model is very clear. We can reduce the number of jockeys. The business model is based on savings. And the savings are paying off the needed investment and the licenses that need to be paid for this kind of function. Of course, the main business is at the end the B2C business. We as Valeo are
You
working
mean the public parking, right?
For example, the public parking, but not only. We work already on automated parking, but this is still level 2. So now we come to the revolution level 4, that means complete driverless. And this opens a bunch of new applications. And everybody is, of course, thinking about public parking. And it is also right, because in fact, there is a market for that. That's a comfort for the user. Nobody likes parking, and nobody likes to go into the underground parking. And this will be even emphasized by the strategy of some cities that try to get the on-road parking to transform this in green spaces and to put more and more cars in the underground parkings again. So this is also talking again for this application. But beside that, you have other comfort functions that while you are away, your car can be charged up, your car can be washed, and also in shopping malls, while you are doing your next shoppings, your goods can be loaded in your car in a kind of drive-in. So there are many, many new applications that will open, and I'm sure this is only the beginning. And this is leading to a comfort function, but also we have to think about the time saving. And for the user, if he can rely on an AVP system, for example, if you have to catch your train, you have to count some tolerances in the time to find a parking place and to park your car. So if you have this daily, you can have every day more 10 minutes more time free. This is something which has a lot of value. Also for the washing, the Saturday morning, you lose your time, or fueling at the motorway. So these are all applications where you have time savings.
I'm thinking also, especially when you're talking in the future with electric vehicles and on the highways, on the station, where there would be definitely more queue to charge electric vehicle than we now, when the penetration rate of the electric will be higher. So that means you will need to stop, to wait in the queue for the charging station, and then you need wait for the charging. There's something that can be done with the system that take the car, you just put it bring it into the zone, it will pick it up, and you can pick it up afterwards when everything is done, correct?
This is completely right, because the charging is maybe 20 minutes, but the queuing time, so you will lose 1 hour or more, and this is useless time. And if we can transform this useless time in time that you can do other things, go to the restaurant or sit in the cafe and work a little bit, this is converting the time in a useless time for the user. And then the other thing that we may not forget is the efficiency. For the parking operators, by using AVP-controlled cars, you can put much more cars on the same service. You can even allow cars to be parked in areas where you would hinder others, but you can move the car without the driver. You can allow this kind of situations. So in fact, the business, the monetization, as you are asking for, is at one hand paid by the efficiency, like the B2B and the plants. So this is mainly then the operator that is paying for that. But then everything which is linked to comfort and to time savings for the user is finally paid by the user. At the beginning, this will be pay as you use, but finally at the mid-term and long-term, this will be somewhere a flat rate included in a package.
Excellent. So what do you think, from your perspective, the necessary technological achievement that have to be done to enable these business models? So what still do we need, technically wise, from connectivity perspective, from the perception, all the components that pays into the system?
Yeah, the big challenge is, in fact, to obtain, at one hand, safety, so you may not cause accidents. To combine this with also a high availability of the system, to combine this also with a high security, and all this for an affordable cost.
Yeah.
And this is not really compatible with each other, because in general, if you want to obtain the fitting safety level, you will increase the cost for the hardware and the software, you will need more sensors, and finally you increase the cost and you reduce the availability. The same is for the security, in fact. And if the availability of the system is not given, or the costs are too high, these are real killer points. And so these are showstoppers that we need to avoid. And that's why we need to work really on the right architecture with a robust IT and a robust network for the V2I, so vehicle to infrastructure, but also the infrastructure to infrastructure, cabled or wireless. And this will be the challenge. And by the way, if you talk about this network, very often we think here about 5G, because we need to use the interfaces that are available in the car and very often also in the infrastructure.
Thank you, Luc. Very clear. So from Embotech perspective, so for those who don't know Embotech provides leading technology and the software stack of autonomy. Right. So that means you make things, more or less vehicles, autonomous. So how far do you think that the infrastructure can support to make the autonomy more efficient, more cost efficient? Infrastructure, that means not only the sensor, but especially the connectivity that it goes with the car.
Right, so I think in the medium term, especially, the autonomy through infrastructure will actually be the main enabler of autonomy in such use cases that we talked about before. So it will actually be the main thing driving it. Because autonomy on board is too expensive and it's not mature yet, simply. In the longer term, this becomes less a technology question and more an economic question about how expensive the systems are, really, and how densely a certain area, how many vehicles it has. So if you have many vehicles in a certain area, it makes more sense to equip the area with the sensors instead of the vehicle itself. It also depends on the how many of the vehicles will actually have advanced sensors like LiDARs on board. It's not likely that the lowest models of vehicles will have these sensors in the next decades. So the technology of VenAI will be the foundation for these types of autonomy use cases for the next decades to come.
Thank you, Andreas. So this is basically how we establish this technology. You see, we have a roadmap that is not only reduced in the next 1 or 2 years, and we'll be very happy to continue the road together and to make it profitable and to scale up the business, of course, starting by the plants, maybe afterwards going to the public car parking, and we'll see. So we are very optimistic. Thank you very much for your attention, and
Thank you.
see you maybe the next time. Thank you.